Hi. So yesterday I went into my DM and asked about 20 guys this question. So I'm going to take you through the answers. I look nice, guys. Before we go further with the topic of the day, let's just acknowledge my beauty. Anyway, let me continue. So the question was, after marriage, do you expect the girl or your wife or whatever to move from her church to your church, provided you're not from the same church? The answer that I got the most was yes, we expect the lady to move to our churches. This is what the guys were saying. I think about 5 guys just said yes and didn't give an explanation. Then some gave different explanations. So I'm just going to read some of the replies that I got. And then, we dissect them. Okay. So one guy said, I've thought about it, and personally, I don't think I would mind as long as our churches follow a similar doctrine. I definitely think, Kuti, if you're far apart, Pajunish, Panugona a problem. So basically, the gist is you're saying he doesn't mind as long as you have churches with similar doctrines. So I'm guessing you're saying, Kuti, you can stay in your church, he'll stay in his church as long as your churches have similar doctrines. Then another guy says, what I'm going to do is after I read all those views, I'm going to give my overall thoughts on this issue. Or maybe I'll actually give them as I go. I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go. So the next guy says, to be honest, I really don't mind Kwateta Enda, but I think picking a new one together would be best to avoid Tunyaya from both our pasts. Interesting. Okay, so he's not the only one who mentioned the idea of looking for a church which you could both agree on. I think if I were to read all of these, there were about 4 other guys who suggested the same thing. So I think the concept is the most suitable. In my humble opinion, it's best you guys, as a new family, as you're starting, because when you get married, you're leaving your parents' house, the guy leaves his mother and his father's house, the girl does the same, and you're going to start your own house. I think it's most ideal that you leave the things that you are doing at your parents' houses there, because those are their houses, and you sit down together and come up with a game plan on how you're going to run your own household and how you're going to do your own things. I don't necessarily think you have to blindly say, because I'm the guy, I grew up in so and so church, I'm going to force my wife into this church, and our kids will also go to this church because that's the church I was raised in. Rather, sit down with your girl and figure out which church you both would feel at home in and you'd be comfortable raising your children in. I think that is the most mature thing to do. That being said, I am not mature enough to do that. Deep down, I want my church. Deep down, I don't even want to consider going to look for another church. I just want you to join my church, which goes to show how selfish and immature I am. This is why I'm not even looking for marriage per se. Like, people in my age group are getting married left, right, and center, and I still think they're rushing into this thing. Like, it's for life, guys. Where is the rush? I'm not mature enough yet mentally to be in a marriage, because I can't even compromise on such a small issue as this one. So yeah. Anyway, let's see. So this wasn't really a popular opinion, but maybe like 4 guys suggested this idea of going and looking for a church that you work on together. Then there's this one that I found very interesting. It's very long, so bear with me, but it's interesting. Because after reading and understanding the book, okay, the question was, would you expect your girl to come to my church? He said, no, I wouldn't. And then I was like, why don't you expect her to join your church? This is what he said. Because after reading and understanding the book of Proverbs, I would say that the whole songs of love thing is about a relationship with the church. Solomon was expressing love with the church. The Bible then goes on to tell us that He that finds a good wife finds a good thing. Now, what I'm trying to say here is, mind you, this is to be among believers, is that if you get to find a good wife, that is someone anengari capable of representing the church. So finding someone like that directly means that her church, the one that she goes to, has something special because they have molded a person, someone worthy of being a good wife. He further went on to say, what did he say? Oh wait, unfortunately I don't think I got the whole response. Oh, here it is. What I'm trying to tell you is women are foundations. A good woman is a strong foundation that one can build something upon. Hence our very own saying, Mushamkads. So if the church that she goes to can produce such a complete person, everything will explain itself. In other words, what this guy came to say was this. The reason why he's willing to leave his church and join the church that his wife belongs to is that particular church that she's coming from is a church that raised a woman that you found worthy of being your wife. Like, he's saying that if she's good enough to be your wife, then there has to be something the church is doing right to mold someone who you'd see and say, this is a wife material, this is someone I can spend the rest of my life with. So he'd be willing to move to her church because it's produced someone special. This point of view only came from this one guy, guys, and I was I was shocked. It's a different way of looking at things. The only other guys who mentioned not joining her church were just like, we don't really, I'm not loyal to my church, so it doesn't matter. As long as if her church is okay, I don't mind moving. But this one was an in-depth view that was different. Like, it blew my mind. I don't know about you guys. If you're still watching up till this point, it's already been 6 minutes. Thank you. I love you. I just like hearing myself talk, so I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to wrap this up in the next 3 minutes or so. Okay, so that's what that guy said. Then let's see what else responses I was getting. Okay, this guy says general response, absolutely he'd expect his wife to move to his church. The whole tenet of marriage is built on men leading the family, which is why the wife takes the husband's name, because a member of becomes a member of the husband's family and his house of worship. So this was the very most common answer I was getting from the guys. Like 15 out of 20 guys said the girl has to join their church because he's like the male of the leader of the family, the male. The same way she'll take his surname is the same way she should take his church. The same way she becomes a member of his family, she should be willing to join his church. Basically, it doesn't matter if she's comfortable with the idea or not, but it's her responsibility. It's what she's supposed to do. Then on that issue, some guys did go on to say that they wouldn't marry someone who is not from their church or who's not comfortable moving to their church in the first place, which is reasonable. I think that's a reasonable thing to say, that if you know me staying in my church is going to be a problem, then let's not get together in the first place. Let's just, to each their own, stick to each other. So literally, I have so many other responses here, but most of them were just talking about the male being the leader of the house, so the church that he chooses is the one that you should join, and so forth. That being said and done, because I don't want to keep going on and on, I'm not going to read the rest of these responses that I was getting. Rather, I'm going to say what I think. Here's my 2 cents. The church is right. My church is always saying, I think most churches do this, they always say, marry someone from your church. It didn't make sense, or I just thought it was just silly, like just marry whoever you want. But it seems something as small as this is an actually important issue, because in the case that you decide, everyone will go to their church, Amaibo Buddha Saturday, Babo Buddha Sant, my different churches. Whose church is going to foresee the wedding if you both decide to keep your churches? Whose church are the kids going to go to when they are now kids in the equation? So it's a very important issue. If you're religious people, might be something you need to consider before getting married. Are you from the same church? Do you share the same religious values and notions? It seems like something that's like mediocre and not important, but apparently it's something that is a big deal. You need to talk about those things with your partners. For those with partners, talk about it. Anyway, that's been me today. Guys, I look nice. If no one says I look nice in the comment section, I'll be hurt. But do give me your opinion in the comment section. What do you think? Should the girl move to the guy's church, the guy move to the girl's church, or should they get a new church? Or does it not even matter? So please reply, share, whatever. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, to my page, my Facebook page. I have two actually, Live with Rose and my main page, which is my profile, my Instagram at Roseline_N, my TikTok at Roseline_N. Well, even my Twitter, guys, too, but yeah, I don't really post. I'm like a Twitter ghost. I'm always in comment sections and just looking at stories, but I don't really post content on Twitter. So guys, tell me what you think. Please do watch my video. Love you guys.